So you don't get my shirt?
No.
Can you read it?
Bring me a shrubbery.
Isn't that funny? Bring me a shrubbery.
I don't get it.
Why not? Why don't you get this? This
What
is
does that
funny.
mean?
This is supposed
Why
to
is
be.
that funny?
Oh, we're live.
Bring
Oh my
me a
gosh.
shrubbery?
Yes. Yes.
Why is that funny?
Because it's funny. It's one of the funniest lines ever spoken in any movie ever.
What movie?
I'm not telling you that. Everybody has to guess what movie this is. Is this backwards or can you read this like regular? Or is it backwards? Bring me a shrubbery. Any guesses on what movie? I'll let that sit out there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. How is everybody doing? Oh, my gosh, Brad. There it is.
Oh, well, that
it's Monty.
explains the problem. I didn't see that.
It's no problem.
I don't care.
There's only solutions.
Monty Python garbage.
Monty Python's garbage. I grew up on Monty Python's. I still think Monty Python's is the funniest thing.
Python, not pythons.
Sure. And I just love the show. I love Faulty Towers, the follow-up with John Cleese. Very funny stuff. How is everybody doing? How are you doing, Crystal?
Hi, thanks,
Good.
Crystal.
Are you done with homework?
I was doing homework, but hey, I'm getting homework done, Frank.
She's balancing equations in chemistry, Frank.
I am.
I've got to do the same thing tonight, though. So
Frank says hi. Frank says, do your homework.
Frank, I'm doing math.
Okay, go do that. I'll do my science later.
Just remember A plus B equals C.
Goodbye.
Get it done early. Yes, exactly. That's my thought too.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us and goodbye. Don't let the door.
Watch out for the boot. What boot?
Go.
Don't
What
what?
is
Huh?
she?
I don't know. I don't know,
From the
Chris.
borax.
Oh, that's what this shirt is all about.
Okay, can we just
My
start?
Oogie Boogie shirt is from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Okay, goodbye. I am so confused tonight.
Should we rewind and just start over?
Oh, my head.
I want to know how everybody's
so
doing. I want
yes.
everybody to say, how are you doing?
Hi, this is Supreme Gecko. I'm
Hi,
Nanette.
this is Supreme Gecko. I'm Wally.
Nanette.
I tell you what, we've had so much
Oh
going
my
on,
God.
and that's all the time. It's all the time. I want to cover a couple of topics that we were recently, last weekend, we were at Tinley Park. Tinley Park, drove down, did VIP, spent about 6 hours down there. It felt like about 1 hour. Give me a recap of what your thoughts are, Nanette, on Tinley. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Gina.
Too packed.
Two-pack. Number one,
It was
two-pack.
fine at the beginning, but then it just got like
Yeah.
the
What
layout is tighter in areas than other areas.
I've heard VIP Saturday was the largest VIP they've ever had.
That's because we had the winter threat for that huge snowstorm.
Everybody
went
wanted to
down.
get in and get out and find their animals, talk to their people, shake some hands, hug some people,
and get out.
and move on. It
I'm
was.
gonna have a kiss.
Mm,
Not from you.
oh,
Eating a kiss.
sorry. Thanks for adjusting
Your ugly shirt.
my ugly shirt.
I don't get it, but whatever.
It's a famous line in Monty Python's. There's so many weird lines. This was Holy Grail, so there were so many. I've been doing good lately. Sorry, you can read the.
I am trying to
Okay.
because I'm trying to stay focused.
Yeah, Tinley is sometimes hard to get to because it's such a a shot down. From us at least, we try to go. We absolutely go in the fall, and we try to go every spring. I can't remember a time that we missed. The last time that we missed probably was when we were supposed to be at the show, and we got sick. If I remember right, that's probably the last Tinley that we missed. Now, what we found out was, here's some special news. Tinley Schaumburg, I shouldn't say Tinley,
Is this
Schaumburg.
legit now?
And ARBC Schaumburg is a done deal, and they are moving to a third show for Tinley Park in June. I think it's the middle of June. It's the same doggone weekend
you
as Scaled
sure?
Up Expos. I'm positive.
Has it been published yet?
It has been published. Scaled
Where?
Up,
On
hair hanging from my goatee.
You're just a mess.
So that's official, and it just came out. I don't know how they
It's
plan
not
this
on their
stuff.
site yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's nuts. It's nuts how weirdly scheduled Tinley Park is. They just
Oh.
need a little bit of organization there.
But it is on their thing. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, it's now out there.
Oh, it is out there? Okay, cool.
It's-
Yeah, 3 Tinleys now.
Yeah, it's
Tinley
the same
Park-
weekend as Scaled Up's Lacrosse and Madison show.
I had one of the hardest questions I've ever had, and Kyle Salzman asked me. We were talking about some stuff, and you know, we've run around Tinley. We literally made 3 laps around Tinley in that 6 hours,
Because
trying
you
to
couldn't
talk
find
to
somebody.
people, trying to find some people, and it's super hard. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us. How are you doing? I hope you're doing fine. But had a conversation with Kyle Salzman of Gecko, and he posed the question, "Hey, are you ever going to be doing Tinley anymore?" And Nanette said before I could, we're probably too old to do the 3 days. That's a haul to do Tinley Park in 3 days. But here we're doing Lacrosse and then Madison the following day, so that's not going to be much different. Yeah, it's Fond du Lac this week, and right, yes, Sunday is Fond du Lac, and I've got that as a note to talk about that. I think, do I have that?
I don't know.
So that was a tough realization for me, but who knows? Maybe we'll see it. Hi, Fish Fam. Yes, Fond du Lac is Sunday. What's that?
It is Fond du Lac we're going to? I didn't even know where we were going.
Yes, Fond du Lac is the shortest for us. Fond du Lac is only about
Thank
50
God.
minutes, and Madison is now about an hour because they moved it
What is
west.
Fond du Lac?
An hour and 5-10 minutes, so it's not much of a difference. I'm looking forward to a big show. I've heard some people from Tinley say this was a big show, and I tend to agree. I spoke to Adam from Proper Royals, and he said that it was a big show for him, and he talked to some other people too. So, you know, we hear online that the reptile, from a business standpoint, is kind of hitting a valley, and I think it's just the opposite. We had what was our last show? Green Bay. Was that our last show? We had our show at Green Bay was twice the amount that we normally do at a reptile show. And I'm not bragging or anything like that. I'm just saying I watch the trends and kind of follow along what's going on so that we can adjust and make changes to the animals that we're selling, the products that we're carrying. And Green Bay, everything was selling like crazy.
Mhm.
I can't think of one thing that didn't sell. We saw rare animals. We really did really well. I think that, you know, it's an up and down kind of situation, just like any other business. So I'm looking forward to a big Fond du Lac show coming up. Talked about Tinley, big moves downstairs. We're moving a lot of animals. This last week, I probably moved 30. I moved and set up 30 different enclosures downstairs. 30. At least 30. And that's for animals that have grown up that I don't look at the animals and sex them out, babies for a year, until they're old enough to start breeding, and we're moving into the breeding season. So I'm looking at animals, and some groups are 50% males, 50% females. Some groups are all males, some groups are all females. I have this one group period, or at the start, I'm getting all females. I think I found 2 males out of about 15 animals. And on the other hand, Coleanus migratus, I found more males than females. So it's just a matter of adjusting some things. I talked to a couple of people at Tinley about this too. And I'm going to make some changes to the incubation process and see how that goes. Speaking of Tinley, I hope everybody watched the video on the animals that we received from Tinley. And I need to talk to Crystal about one of the animals because she kind of called me out. And this is a long, long story, but it was a day gecko. And we got a male. It was marked male when we got it in. I'll tell the story really super quick. It was marked male, and I didn't realize until we got home and looked at it, and it's a male.
Oh, okay.
Well, I already had a male. So I thought, well, I'll use it for my regular, it was the Hawaiian blue gold dust day gecko. I'll try to make this quick. So, and this is how smart Crystal is, and I'm going to talk to her later about this, but I already had a male. So, I put it to the side that I'll put it with my female gold dust, and I'll see if I can get some of that Hawaiian blue into the regular gold dust. Well, I kept it for a while and intrinsically messaged me and said, hey, I marked that as a male. It's a female, just to let you know. Busy. I thought you did. And I put it. Anyways, Crystal watched us talking about getting a male Hawaiian. She caught me on it and said, no, Grandpa, we already have a male. Now, what do I do now? I said, no, we had a female. So I worked around that. So now I've got to go back and tell her she was right. I didn't want to, break her heart that we didn't have a male and female Hawaiian blue.
So do we have a pair?
We do have a pair.
Okay.
We absolutely do have a pair.
I can't keep up.
Obviously, Crystal can better than I can. I kind of thought that we needed that female, and it was marked male, so we're cool. Thank you for joining us, everybody.
So we brought home a male or a female?
We brought home a female that was marked, and I tell you what, in the heat of a show like this, especially these extra things outside of selling animals, I can see how the breeders marked it as a male instead of a female. I'm not blaming anybody at all.
Well,
I would have been happy with a male.
We couldn't even see the animal because it was so buried in its paper towel. We never even saw it until we brought it home.
Exactly.
Is anybody else having problems with your freezing up? Angie, if you've got Spectrum out here, I couldn't get online downstairs for anything about half an hour ago. Are you good?
Their end, your end, our end?
Our end? We're not freezing.
I have a lag Angie button right here, and I'm going to hit
Brad,
lag.
I paid the bill.
Yeah, that's right. So she forgot it.
No, I didn't.
So I hope you enjoyed that video. Some pretty cool animals that we brought home. Actually, again, I was called out on one of them. Somebody said, hey, that Bavaye that you purchased, that's a critically endangered animal. How do you work that? So I had to go back to the breeder, and Quality Bred Exotics was there, but it wasn't his animal. It was another breeder, so I'm going to have to contact that breeder and find out what's going on with a critically endangered. I think that they have permits, but I've got to check on that. So
you picked up a critically endangered animal?
Yes. Now I'm worried.
Lord.
I'm going to have the feds knocking on the door pretty quick. Watch the video. Buy me a coffee. I hope you picked up some of the deals that we put out there from a week ago that we did the Buy Me a Coffee video, the live stream. We put some pretty big deals out there. If you're a Buy Me a Coffee member, those deals are still available. A lot of people picked up, especially on some of the hard goods. And Frank, I'm calling the police right now. So grab those deals while you can. I'll probably, at the end of this weekend, put them back to normal. Big deals. I hope you're using this spreadsheet. We put out an income expense spreadsheet. Hope people can utilize that. It's something that I'm using almost on a daily basis. And finally, updates. We're going to talk about how we're different in just a minute. But finally, updates, spreadsheets. Finally, what's wrong, Nanette? Finally, we had some crazy crusty goings on yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? I think it was yesterday. It was yesterday. So I went downstairs and I'm putting all the cups. We've got the show coming up for lacrosse, scaled up expos.
I'm going to Fond du Lac this weekend. You can go
Did I say lacrosse? Have I been saying lacrosse?
No.
Okay, Fond du Lac. Sorry, Fond du Lac. So I'm putting the cups out. I'm looking at the Peridor Picta. They're right across from another rack of Crested geckos. Folks, I've never heard this before in 20 some years. I've never heard this before. Read off Brad's after I tell the story, but I'm going to save this so that I can read it off in a second because I want to see what he's saying here. I've never ever seen this in all of the years I've done Crested Gecko. So I've occasionally opened an enclosure for a Crested Gecko, and it's squirmy and it's running, and you can see the tail, and I just shut it. I just shut it. Either a baby or an adult. Okay. So I just shut it and I leave it alone. I've picked up a Crusty and you see the tail kind of doing like this. Put it down. Put it down. It's going to drop its tail. So I'm doing the cups and I'm writing stickers and I'm putting them on the Peridor Picta enclosures for the show to take animals to the show. So I've got a little tape and designating numbers and writing them on the sheet for the animals that we're going to be taking to the show. And I'm writing on the shelf, the wood, so I can cut the tape. It doesn't hurt anything. It's just a wooden leg. And I'm doing that, and I think I messed around too much doing that. And all of a sudden, and it was quiet for a half hour. I'm doing all this and fiddling around. And again, I've never ever seen this other than maybe one gecko here or there are going crazy. But I'm doing all of this, moving around and cutting tape and putting it on the Peridor Picta enclosures and moving tubs in their enclosure. On the rack, the Crested Gecko rack, all of a sudden it was like a cage of 20 monkeys and them going crazy. The Crested Geckos, this is a rack of 25 animals. And all of a sudden I would swear that every single Crested Gecko was running from one side of the enclosure to the other side, back and forth. They were freaked out.
I misunderstood this whole conversation.
Yeah, they were freaked out, running back and forth. And if you've ever had that happen where you've had one, you just kind of back off and walk away and hope that it settles down and doesn't lose its tail. This was all of them. So I had a lot of work to do, but I put it all down and I came upstairs and I thought, I hope, turned off all the lights. Please don't lose your tails. Well, I just did an assessment. I walked back downstairs and I opened up every enclosure, and every one of the Crested Geckos is like, how's it going? How you doing?
They talk to you?
They do. They say, hi, Wally. So I open up every with their little feet, their little paws, not feet, paws.
Geckos have paws?
Yes. So
I thought geckos had feet. Dogs have paws.
So with their little feet, they wave, hi, Wally. So opened up every one of the 25 enclosures, and of 25 geckos, I would have yesterday sworn that half of them would have lost their tails. Only 4 did, only 4 of 25. So that's not terrible, but losing 4 tails like that is kind of frustrating. It's kind of sad. I don't know what spurred it, but I'm thinking there had to be something that they were spreading, like a pheromone. Does that make sense? Anybody, any thoughts on this? Telling each other, telling the group of Crested Geckos that something was going on.
Was here.
Crazy guys here, let's get something going. So it had to be something, because I've never had a whole group of animals react that way. I've had a enclosure of like a male and a female, both of them going kind of, I don't know what the heck was going on, but something was going on. So only 4 tails were lost. So that's kind of a good thing.
Geckos have feet, not paws, according to Google.
Okay.
Because they have special designed feet.
You need to look up Chat AI, GPT, that thing, that intraweb thing, purple sticky punch. Okay, I want to look at what Brad said up here.
We're running around like crazy yesterday. No. I totally missed your.
No worries.
Obviously, I wasn't listening to you last night.
No. Okay, this guy just passed a law making a bunch of keepers criminals, bunch of herpers.
Creepers, I think.
Herpers, criminals can't have any native animals, even if captive bred. Wow. That's been some of that has been off for a long time. So a guy that kept tropical fish and had a local endangered fish in his collection, and he got the knock on the door, and they said, we've got to inspect. And because he had told one of his friends that he had these minnows, star-headed minnows or whatever, and they walked in and they took all of his fish, cleaned them out.
According to ChatGPT, says
GTO
says that they are feet, not paws.
Okay.
Paws are soft padded feet that mammals and dogs have, but reptiles have clawed feet. Just a little.
And now we know.
Little info there for you.
So I have a question for you, for everybody. Is there, the topic of tonight's conversation is things that we do differently here at Supreme Gecko. And you might know a few of them already, but I wanted to ask you, I think Nanette abandoned us.
No, my computer's crashing.
Oh, no. Connected to the back. I wanted to ask everybody, is there something in the hobby that you do differently in the hobby than you feel everybody else does in the hobby? Something that you do different than everybody else. Whether it's caring for the animals, whether it's how you set things up, whether it's working social, doing anything on social media. What's something that you can think of that you do differently in the hobby than 99% of the people out there? Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts with you, Nanette? Not about us, but about you specifically.
That I do differently?
Julie's thinking about it. Frank says, good question. Yeah.
That I do different than other people in the hobby? I had to think about that.
Okay, think about that.
Different than other people in the hobby.
I look at a couple of people here, and I can say unequivocally, okay, we're going to hit Brad real quick. I raise some of my tadpoles communally. Most people put them in different cups. Good point. Really, really good point. I do wrong. And is there a reason for Brad? Brad, is there a reason for that? I'm just kind of curious why you are doing something different like that. Is it something that you came across that just works for you? Is there a reason why it's working for you? Kind of curious on that. So I see Brad is doing the tadpoles a little bit differently, keeping them together instead of separating them out. I think most people are separating them out simply so that they see bigger growth. And once they get big enough, I think there's maybe some, I don't know about predation, but picking on some bullying from one to another. Angie, I give bark away, and I now need for my ice pods in my Crested Gecko. Perfect. And that's just generosity. And I, for one, thank you on that. Some species do better in groups. Interesting. Okay, Frank's saying I eat Pangea with milk. Does that count? Sure, we'll go ahead and count that.
What flavor?
What flavor Pangea? Is there a better flavor than others? I would say for Frank, one thing that you do is that you are a community player. And player is a bad word. I don't know what right word would be. You are a community supporter. You support just about every live stream that I go on, Frank. You're on the live stream and you're commenting. And from a creator standpoint, I like the conversation, number one, but YouTube or Facebook or Instagram or whatever, they love it. They love the conversation. They love the comments. They love the interaction. The algorithm says, oh, interaction, let's pump this thing up. So I think, Frank, that's one thing that you do different from everybody else, in that I think, I have a lot of respect for that, and I wish I could do more. And I find myself wanting to jump on these lives. I know JP has a premiere, I think, video that started at 6:32 as well, I should say. And I want to support everybody that I can with watching the YouTube videos. I run out of time. I don't know how you have the time, and thank you that you do have the time to do that. That's incredible. Julie, I think Julie is another community supporter in every which way possible, with being positive to the community and saying good things and just posting and sharing and connecting. And I think that's absolutely amazing. So anybody else, if you can think of something that you do different than other people in the community, other keepers, other reptile breeders, other people that go to shows, other people that sell online, anything about the hobby whatsoever. What's that?
I'm trying to think what I do different.
What do you do different?
I do things differently than you, and it drives you nuts. I know that.
Oh, it
downstairs.
absolutely drives me nuts.
The show cups is going to be an issue.
Yeah, the show cups are going to be an issue because I completely redid the show cups the last couple of days.
Yeah, the way that I had it all organized is now gone.
You had some kind. You used. Oh, here's what drives me nuts. So we have these diet dishes. They're just black square dishes. I wish I had one up here. And they're just really squat. They're only, quarter of an inch. It's just perfect for giving either adult crested geckos or babies crested gecko diet, because I know exactly how much to pour. So we do we put them out and eat. And then the next day, 2 days later, we're doing another feeding. We pull all the used cups. And if you see something that yell, we pull all the used cups and we put them in 6-quart plastic tubs. They're perfect. Each side will hold about, I don't even know how many, 50, maybe over 50.
Yeah,
and
50.
We'll fill up, 2 or 3 of these 6 quarts after a big crested gecko feeding. So I'll put them under the sink and I'll put them in, and all the cups face me. So the open
In the sink.
container. In the container, and I'll start spraying water in, and I'll do that so that I can come in later and I can spray, and it hits the cups in the front. Nanette will put the 6 quarts backwards so that the opening is facing the sink. And it's like, really? It's that easy to just flip it around so that I can just spray them down, and it drives me nuts. And I've said that like 100 times. But it's one of those things that makes it fun to work together.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, fun. You use the word fun. That's not a word that I would use. We have our quirkiness like that. I'm more quirky than that.
Brad, we do that as well.
Uneaten crested gecko. Oh, gosh, yes.
And the dubias, not the ice pods.
We do it for mealworms. I'll put them on top of the mealworms, and the mealworms will go through them in half a day. Absolutely. Now that's for the adults. For the babies, sometimes there's not enough left over for the babies, so I'll just put them, in the sink in the 6 quarts and under the water to get them clean. But there's a lot of things that we do different. I mean, we'll banter back and forth like this, Nanette and I. We know that there's no offense at all, and we just work really, really. I am blessed. I swear, man, I am so blessed to have Nanette help me and put up with my quirkiness and understand my little idiosyncrasies. So I appreciate that so much. But if you have other things that you do different than other keepers, let me know in the comments. Nanette, any thoughts?
I'm just trying to think what I do that's, I guess one of the things you do when you start the water for the cups, you use cold water. I always use hot water right away the first round. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think a lot of people, when I read profiles online about breeders, there's certain things that I see them mentioning all the time. One thing that I see mentioned all the time is we're different than other breeders and keepers. We care for our animals. Our animals are the first priority. We have the healthiest animals around. I think everybody feels that way. I think everybody feels that they do the best that they possibly can for the animals and try to do the best that they can. There's mistakes happening all the time. I just read somebody took down to Tinley a bunch of animals and he pulled cups without holes in them. And he lost a few. Most of them were okay, but he did lose. And we all make mistakes like that. We all, and that, that's so unfortunate. It really, really, really is.
Cold water, Angie. He doesn't use the hot water for anything down there.
Yeah, I'll do cold water on it for everything. So we all make mistakes, but I think that we all feel like we're taking care of the animals the best that we possibly can. That's not really something that uniquely identifies us, because I think that we do a really good job with taking care of our animals as best as we possibly can under the circumstances that we have. But I think that that's fairly common in the hobby. Everybody's trying to do as good of a job as they can. Another thing that I see all the time is we share information. We're not gatekeepers. We don't hold back. We share our information. I see that, but I don't see them sharing setup pictures or setup videos. I'm not complaining. That's not the purpose of it. I'm just saying that, when I see something like we share all the information that we possibly can, and I think that people absolutely do share a lot of information on the internet. I think there's a fear factor of, you share something. I was talking to Nanette today about sharing about the heat tape and had somebody message on Facebook, you must not care about your animals. You're using heat tape and you're going to get that. I'm thick-skinned. I have, broad shoulders. I'm okay with that. Go ahead and you can say things like that. But if you're going to say something like that, let's be, kind to each other, which this person ultimately wasn't. But also, let's present facts. One thing that I can present is, 20 some years of using heat tape. I can go down the list and talk to many, 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 many people that have used heat tape. And anyways, with huge success. Are there risks and dangers with using heat tape? Absolutely. But, if you do it the right way, you should be okay. Nanette, do you have comments?
Yeah, I
Please,
did.
please.
One thing no, there's a comment here. Hit Peter, save that one. It's coming up after a little bit. Yeah.
This one right
here?
here? Okay,
save
got
that
it.
for a minute so I don't lose it.
Yep.
I was going to say one thing I do different is the show cups. People put labels. They use sticky labels on their show cups a lot. I don't, because then I can reuse the show cup again after washing it out if I need to, if we bring an animal back, and then we've got the cups. And I just use, I do it, I print them and I put it on with a piece of Scotch tape across it, and then I can cut the tape and take them off.
Does everybody understand that? So, the Avery labels that you get in the store, they're sticky. You put them on cups and it's like, fingernails and, this is a pain. It's so hard to do. Hey, JP, sorry for missing your video. I'll watch it after this. Everybody go to JP's video after this show and watch his Tinley Park update. Juan does the absolute best show updates on videos of anybody that I know of. So Nanette doesn't put the labels, the Avery labels with the name of the gecko and everything on there. And then you have to tear it off if you want to, or throw the cup, flip it away if you can't get it off, if you're going to not use that cup anymore. We have a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet goes on into a piece of paper. She cuts out the paper and then she tapes that little piece with the information, the gecko's name and everything other than price, because we change prices sometimes. And she'll tape that right to the side of the container so that if we're going to, let's say, not sell that or whatever happens in the future, she can, with her fingernail, she'll go right under the label and the tape and pull it right off. So she can reuse that deli cup. That's a brilliant, brilliant idea. That's a great
I
point.
also put them on the side of the cup, not on top, so you can see the animal.
Yeah, I like that too. And I've had we'll have
That's a mix.
once in a while, we'll have people, what kind of gecko is this? And I'll try to do it, tactfully and patiently. And I'll pick it up and I'll point to the label and I'll say, this is a peridot picta, and then throw in additional information. Like I can talk about the gecko now that I'm holding it, but I'll share that so that then they know the other cups on our table have kind of a similar schematic of the tape being right on the side. And then she'll use little stickers on the tops for the
Male, female.
Male, female.
Pink or blue on there. And then the price tag is on
and then the
top.
price. So that works out really, really well. That's a big thing that we do.
Removable labels would be awesome.
The only problem with that, the only problem that I can see is, and I've worked retail before, and I've heard this happen a lot, was, hey, Wally, we just sold a $20 Viper gecko. Why did you have it marked $20? I didn't have a marked $20. Oh, they took the label off of this Crested gecko
Right.
that was $20 and put it on the more expensive
Somebody
item.
just said, do you worry about swapping?
Exactly. And
Mhm.
I've seen that in retail, and I'll worry about that too. And that's why in retail, you'll see those little grooves. Like if you try to pull off a label and it's like grooved, little V grooves in it.
Mhm.
That's why they do that. So you can't easily exchange labels.
The tape is not easily taken off either. I mean, the Scotch tape, I normally take a razor blade and slip through the middle of it,
Yeah.
and then I can peel them off really easy. But I've never had people take a label off of anything on
Yeah.
the table and switch it for an animal. The price tag is a sticky dot that's on top. That's not a taped label.
Yeah.
That's a sticky dot that
They
sticks.
could take tops off, but I tell you at that time, they're taking
We're
a
gonna
lot
see
of
'em do it,
time
yeah.
and we're going to see an animal escaping more than anything.
Trying to think what else we do different.
Keep that up. I'm going to share, and you sent me, do you still have those?
Yeah, I did
list?
send you some.
Okay. Do you still have that or?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
go ahead and
sent you
bring
a
that up.
text
I'm going to bring up
message.
one that we do. So I mentioned some of the things that people always say, we do this, but here's a couple of things that I personally do differently. JP, if I see somebody changing my labels, they're getting I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of a strong drink, I think. So I'm right there with you, buddy. Here's one thing that I do. I answer, and you might know this already, but I answer every single question I get, if I can, unless there's an exception, within a couple of hours, half a day, at the most 1 day, unless we're on vacation, unless we have, a show. I couldn't answer anything Saturday because we were at the show, but coming home, I answered a couple of questions. I'll answer every single question. I've got an example for you. 2 weeks ago, we had somebody looking at some, peridot picta, and I think that we went through back and forth questions, and I've got the videos out there, but the person was asking some very, very legitimate questions. We probably went back and forth at least 50 times. I'll say easily 50 times, question, answer, over a period of about 2 weeks. Not at any point did I say, hey, are you buying the animal or what? That's just not my nature. If somebody has legitimate questions, I'm going to answer their questions on YouTube, or on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, wherever I can answer those questions. Now, if somebody asks me, how do you care for a leopard gecko? I don't know, that's a bad example. How do you care for a flying gecko? I might at that point go, this could be, I could spend a whole video doing I could do a whole video on this. I could write 2 or 3 paragraphs. Sometimes I'll go right over to ChatGPT and say, listen, this is something that anybody can do. Hey, Google or ChatGPT or whatever, how do you care for a flying gecko? I'll put in the scientific name. And I'll get the list and I'll copy and paste that right into their answer so that they,
What is your phone doing?
I don't know.
What's
Oh,
your
it's
phone?
answering some of my questions.
All of a sudden,
I said, how do you take care of, oh, I'm not going to
It's
say it
telling
again.
you.
Yeah, that's telling me how to take care of a flying gecko. So sometimes I'll do something like that. And I'm not trying to be a smart aleck or smarty pants. I'm just giving them the information, but I'm not going to sit there and type, for 20 minutes. I'm going to get to your question in just a second. Sorry, Peter. Let me just finish this thought and I'll get right over there. So I will answer every single question independent of sales or what, simply because I think that people have legitimate questions. We're all in that boat. We've all been in that boat at some point about asking questions of somebody that hopefully people trust me, and I can provide as much information from my experience, be it good or bad, that I can. Did you?
No, he just said.
Go ahead.
What? No, I was just saying. He said, "Take your time."
Oh, okay.
I don't think he realized I had started your question earlier.
Okay, I'm going to jump on his question.
Yeah, go ahead, because it's about bye-bye.
Oh man, I can't find the start. I can't find the.
About that gecko that you got.
You know what?
You opened it up.
Oh, here it is. Let me show this. Okay, about Bavaria, the official endangered gecko you got at the Reptile Expo. How many individuals do you have? Can you breed them?
Mm-hmm.
Are they new to the hobby? I don't know, to be very honest. And that's one of the points that I'm going to share in just a minute. Thank you for asking that. I don't have any more information on this gecko than pretty much what I provided in the video. And unfortunately, I have an open question to somebody right now to find out. I don't know the impact.
It's the police, Wally. Don't answer.
Yeah, exactly. Dave's not here, man. So I'm going to bring the point up right now. So that's a good thing that I do, is answering every question. One of the bad things that I do is, let me find it. I don't, how do I say this? Yeah, I'm going to say it. I don't do research. I'll let that sink in for a minute. I don't do research before I buy animals. Generally, if I see an animal on Morph Market, I'm going to dig in and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to do some research and I'm going to ask some people. I'm going to ask the breeder, hey, can you tell me a little bit about this animal? If I'm at a reptile show, everybody talks about, instant buying, buying on,
instinct, not instinct.
Yeah, just buying randomly. I'll do that. Well, why would you preach not to do that and you do it? That's because I can relate these Bavaria, for an example. I can relate the care of this animal to others that I've had experience with, and we've worked with, I don't know, over 150 animals here. So I kind of have that experience to be able to relate the care of this animal. Maybe there's differences. Maybe there's some idiosyncrasies with that animal, that specific species, but I can relate. And probably, Julie, I think that sums it right up right there. I'll do no research before buying an animal. I might ask the person, how long have you had these animals? How are they wild caught? Are they captured? I'll ask some questions about that specific animal, but for the genus species, I probably won't, because I've hopefully worked with that genus. Now, if I haven't worked with the genus, I probably wouldn't, and I'm not familiar with the parallel genus, I probably wouldn't buy the animal until I did do some research. But now here's the thing, Julie, and you'll maybe find this true of me from past experience. I do a lot of research. If I'm looking at an animal and getting into an animal and working with it, I'll put notes together. I'll put pages and pages, and I'll talk to people about the animals and try to get a better feel. Yeah, I do.
No.
Okay. I still think you should make a short video on what you do to prepare the mushrooms and bark I bring you from. I think that's a good idea.
I said good idea.
Good idea. What did you have, Nanette? Go ahead. So on
What do you
the
mean? What do I
on
have?
the
Am I questions
on
or
the
on the screen?
Bavaye,
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about it because I do know about Bavaye, so I don't know though specifically about that. I've never heard of any critically endangered Bavaye before. This was something new on one of the that video that somebody brought up. So it's critically endangered. So I have to investigate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They're going off into another world with the mushrooms now.
That's what happens when you get into mushrooms.
Okay, do you want my comments that I had for you today, or do you want comments from the chat? I don't know what you were asking. What I had
from you, yeah.
Oh, my comment was there were 3 of them that I had. I had that we breed diverse.
Give one of them. I'm sorry.
Okay, we breed a diverse group of animals. That way, we aren't stuck in one group if it gets overpopulated in the hobby, or you've got a wide variety so that you can, I don't know how to say it, so that you can sell different animals, you can share different animals, you can learn about different animals. It's not just crested geckos that are in our house all the time. There's just a wide variety all the time. And we have a diverse group of items on the tables when we sell. It shows so that people get what they need. I don't know how to say it.
Yes, I actually
have
have.
Chat GPT'd that comment and had them read it better for me.
No, you did fine. we just diversify what we're selling, and that makes all the sense in the world. And then that JP just said something. I preach that to so many people when I do the consultations. I'll preach that all the time. That one of the things you need to think about is diversification, because if you're selling ball pythons, if you're selling a ball python times this. Eventually, if it's a good seller, eventually everybody is going to have it. Eventually, everybody's going to be breeding that gene, that hat, whatever. And your value market is just going to go right into the table. So as you're breeding this and you're distributing that, now it starts, kind of fanning out a little bit and getting into more and different gene combinations, or maybe get into chameleons or. But the point is that eventually any good market is going to be saturated like that. Mm-hmm. It'll take a year. It might take 2 years, but eventually it's going to be saturated. So you need to be that half of a step ahead of the market. That doesn't mean that you have to get rid of your collection every 3 years. That means that you need to niche down a little bit and maybe specialize. Periodora picta. We sold so many beautiful Periodora picta for a long time, and then we're niching down. Now we're trying to get better reds, and we're doing the amels, and we're doing broad. So niche down. And now, if more people are doing broad stripes and amels and then we're going to niche down. We're going to do broad stripe reds. Just kind of keep working that. Hey, Andrew, how are you doing? Just keep working that and diversify. If you have, and walk through a reptile show and look at the isopod keepers and see how many of the isopod keepers are are selling also leaves and oh my gosh, bark
and setups.
Yes, and the little nut pod things, and yeah. So it's just a natural progression. One of the things that I do. If I were to say something on that line, I would say one of the things that we do very, very, very different from others is, and I see it in the isopod realm, in the isopod hobby, is they diversify and they move forward with the demands of that hobby. So if somebody's buying isopods, they probably need to have, leaves and biodiverse kind of materials. Well, if you're breeding geckos, then you probably need hatch boxes, and you need supreme hatch material, and you need spray bottles. And so that's what we tried to do too. We try to be that one-stop shop for gecko breeders, where we see a lot of isopod breeders doing exactly the same thing. Peter has a point or a question. Do you want to read that off? Or
he just said that he knows that you're a very experienced and responsible keeper, Anyway, I looked it up on Wikipedia and on the IUCN Red List. It's a critically endangered species. Are you planning to breed it? Probably not until we find out what's going on.
I saw the exact same thing. So right now they're separated, they're quarantined. I have questions out. I need more information before I do any more action. I don't want to, I can neither confirm nor deny anything involving, illegal
Not
practices
until
here.
we know what's going on.
I'm so cautious and I'm so fraidy pants that I'm not going to, commit anything. I'm not even going to come close to committing breaking a law here at Supreme Gecko. We have too much to risk, obviously. What else, Annette? You have another one?
Much.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for asking those questions. They're really, really good questions.
My next one was you look for geckos that are not common in the hobby so that we can keep them in the hobby. And unfortunately, you just got that vibe.
Axnay on the critically endangered
animal that we didn't know about. Well, no, but you do look for like some of the rare stuff that's out there and like the micros. People don't all keep that kind of stuff, and it's good to keep all this up. You're getting lots of warnings if this is the police talking to you.
Yeah, this is now on record. I'm ending the live stream and I'm deleting it right now. It is what it is. I'll deal with it, as soon as possible. So diverse animals. I'm going to give you.
No, I didn't say diverse. I said that we
sorry.
keep rare. You
Rare
are
and specific.
keeping rare, specific, looking for rare things that aren't commonly in the hobby that you want to help the community get a hold of or keep them going so that we do have them
I just want
that
to
are
play with my
legal.
bearded dragon.
That are legal. I hate that bearded dragon.
I do too, because I
I hate
left it
that
downstairs and I walked past it and I jumped out of its way the other day.
Yeah, everybody does that.
So I'm going to share a quick story. At ARBC, I talked to Adam from Proper Royals and he had some new lights up and he said, I asked him, how long do you think these lights will last without being plugged in? How long will the battery run? He goes, probably 2 or 3 hours. I said, I think it's going to go like 4 hours. I said, I bet you that these lights will run out before I buy any geckos, because I didn't have any plans to buy any geckos at all.
Yeah, you didn't.
So we walked over. Good luck, Adam. Good luck with the show. And we walked 2 tables down in Josh Alder, Empire Exotics. I hope I'm getting that right. Sorry, Josh, if I'm not. But he had Periodora Stumpfi on his table. He had a pair and an extra female. I've worked with Periodora Stumpfi. I've worked with them 2 times in the past. I love them. Why would I work with them again? I don't need another Periodora.
No, you didn't.
I had some conversation. Yeah, no, you didn't. I had conversations with 2 or 3 people before the show in the last month and a half or so, and we've talked about Periodora Stumpfi. And I know one person that I gave a female to because they had a male and I didn't have a male. And hey, if you get babies, enough of them, think of me and bring some back my way so we can keep these in the hobby. And he unfortunately retired from geckos this last year. And I don't think there's that many out there. Maybe one other breeder has Periodora Stumpfi. Maybe 2. It doesn't matter. Those people can leave the. We got this at NRBC too. This is cool. So those people can leave, that animal any day and say, we're done with Periodora Stumpfi. We lost the male. Now we're not going to get. So I bought the trio because I like them, obviously. But
And you weren't going to buy anything.
It really didn't light a fire in me. It didn't say, I've wanted these animals. What it did, though, was it said, there's not that many out there. You better, if you like Periodora and you're, a spokesman for Periodora being so cool of a genus, you better keep these guys going. So I bought the trio almost as a no-brainer. And so that was like 10 minutes. So we had to walk back.
That was a no-brainer.
We had to walk back past Adam and say, I just bought the geckos. And he laughed at us.
And his lights were out.
No,
I'm just kidding.
No, they weren't. So I think it's important that we are ambassadors for our animals. And that means, sometimes we'll have animals that aren't really in the hobby that long. I just saw somebody posting about Pachydatylus, and Pachydatylus is, near and dear. And we've lost so many of those species of Pachydatylus that I look back and I kind of blame myself for not keeping 3 or 4 of these that I could have and kept them going. And it is what it is. And unfortunately, we're losing these animals, almost daily, weekly, and we just can't get them back. They're probably gone out of the hobby, and as well as Peridot sulfite could be out of the hobby any time, knowing Madagascar and their exportation limitations. Okay, I'm going to go for a good one. We ship the next day.
Whoa.
No,
mine weren't good.
Yes, no, I have good and bad things that I do differently than everybody else that are good, and some things that I do bad. One good thing is that we do, it's more you than anything else. Wally is the reason geckos go extinct. I'm hoping that's not true. I'm hoping it's just the opposite. I hope I'm sharing, some of these animals and keeping them in people's hands. One good thing that you do is you ship the next day. We've had so many orders, and we'll get orders in like today. We've gotten 2 or 3 orders in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have them packaged and prepared by tomorrow morning, and you'll drop them off at the post office either on your way in or on your way home. So within 24 hours, those orders, it doesn't include animals. That's, merchandise and Supreme Isopod chow and the feeder food, things like that, products, hatching boxes, and stuff like that.
As long as it's in stock.
Yeah. So we try to get the orders out as quick as we possibly can, because it's just what we do, and it's easier to keep track that way. Do you have another one?
I had education was one of the big things that we do that some breeders don't do. You make sure people are educated when they're at your table and they purchase things. We've had people come to our table after they've purchased an animal and they want to buy Pangea food to feed their leopard gecko because they just thought the animal was cool and they walked away with it because it was a sale.
Yeah.
Yours is different,
we say,
really
somebody
educate.
says, I want to buy some Crested gecko diet for my leopard gecko. We say, would you like to supersize your order? No, I don't. We direct them immediately to the right answer, and we'll always do that. But I think a lot of people will do that too. Maybe I'm gullible, but we don't sell anything if we think that it's not right for the animals or the animals aren't right for the person. Yeah.
Yep. We will redirect.
Yep. And we've done that many, 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 many times. That's one thing that we try to do a lot at a show is find the right animal for the right person. And we've pushed people to buy other animals rather than a crested gecko, or people looking for a snake or a spider or something like that. And we will direct them to other people. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we get that from other vendors at the show as well.
That too. We tell people just because we walked into our table first, there are many crested gecko breeders here. There are many people that have gargoyles. Go and look around, see what you like first before you purchase. Don't just walk into the first group of people you see and buy right away, unless you've already talked to us and you already knew, or you were a return. Because we get a lot of customers that come to the shows. They talk to us at the show. They don't buy. And then we see them the next show we're at. Or they'll say, are you going to be at the next one? Because we need to get everything set up. We want to make sure we're ready. And those people will come back. But we normally tell people, look around, shop around first. Don't just grab from us first because we're here. Peter has a comment here. Yeah. He said, wonderful. I saw that video. I'm not sure exactly which one that was, but maybe the one that you were talking about before. Yep. What I did like is that you don't just follow the market and stop breeding a species because it's not popular anymore. What is your rarest and most endangered species?
Oh my gosh. You know what, Peter, great question. I can immediately think of an answer for that. I have several that are rarer in the hobby. Does that mean they're endangered? No, because they're popular and the people that want them are going out and getting them. People are animals like Chondrodactylus angulifera. It's a beautiful top 5 list, on my top 5 list for years and years. And when I got them, I almost, Annette can testify to this, I almost cried. I almost cried like a baby. I was so happy to get that animal. But now, they're out in the hobby and people that want them have them. So it's not endangered. It's the weird stuff that like nobody cares about. And it's just a little gray gecko or something like that, once the people that are dedicated drop them, they're gone. They're gone. And that happened with a lot of the Pachydaculus. So I will say Pachydaculus McLaughlini, which is this as babies, and Pachydaculus as babies are just beautiful. Most of them, and as adults, most of them are not really spectacular at all. They're little gray lumps. But these Pachydaculus McLaughlini are just, 2.5 inches long. McLaughlini are 2.5 inches long, but as babies, they're purplish black with yellow white stripes and golden tails. And they're just beautiful, beautiful little animals. They're not super hard to keep. They're not super easy either. But I think there's not that many in the hobby, and I kind of feel now this responsibility to keep working with them. And we had a really, really good year last year, and nothing would make me happier than to sell these animals and get them out there in the hobby for others to pick them up and distribute them as well. So
Peter was talking about the Pachydaculus video. JP saw a pair of the angulifers at the show.
And nothing will do angulifers justice rather than the way that I got them. This was from Phil Trumper. We met in a parking lot. Do you want to buy some geckos? No. We met in a parking lot and we talked for, probably 15, 20 minutes. And they, the animals, you want to see the animal? Oh, yeah, I want to see it. And he brought out this box. He opens the box, and I say this all the time, but it was like rays of sun, beaming down on this animal, and the heavens opened up with this angel singing, and it was just such a cool experience. But they were beautiful, red and gold and everything. So that's my rarest gecko, Pachydaculus McLaughlini. Something bad that I probably do more than most people. I'm a bit of a hoarder. I am a bit of a hoarder. I have a really, 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 really tough time throwing things out. As I've said on the live stream before. So if I have something that I think that it has some utility left in it, what are some examples?
Plastic containers.
Plastic containers. Oh, I can store something in that. I can put, and I do use these plastic containers to store like Crested Gecko rubber silicone cups and things like that I can utilize that way. But I store weird stuff too. I store old temperature gauges. I'll never use these old things. I don't know. We did a video on temperature gauges about 3 years ago.
You have temperature gauges downstairs?
Why do I say these things and broadcast or live streams with you? I know. So we did this video, and I threw out like 6 of these that I paid like $20 a piece for. But I've got to throw this stuff out. I keep mealworm frass. Why do I keep mealworm frass? Because it's easy, it's cheap, and we can use it on the flower garden and the vegetables. So I have probably 6 containers of mealworm frass downstairs. You mentioned containers. I don't like to throw away containers because I feel like I can use them for something.
Yeah, I literally put it in the recycle bin and I find it downstairs. Or I buy plastic containers for my kitchen, and he's grabbing them before I can even, and it's like, no, those are mine.
Yes, frass is good for plants. It's actually sold. A lot of people, our good friend Justin Meyer sells a lot. He sells it by the like 40 or 50 pound bag for mealworm frass.
JP, no. If it's not used in the first year or 6 months that it's there, it's going out the door.
That's what I should do. I have 3
7
misting.
years.
I have 3 misting systems that I have all the parts. The misting systems are.
Sell them.
I know I should. The misters, the nozzles are probably calcified up, and I know. So, another thing that I do that's bad, I feel, is that I don't really handle our animals a lot. I don't handle them a lot. I move them, huh?
Brad wants a mister.
Brad wants a mister. I'll see if I can dig it up. I've got 3 of them just sitting there. I don't know. One is a Misking. One is a homemade do-it-yourself that worked just perfect. I think the other is a Misking as well. But
we'll talk.
Yeah, we'll talk. So I don't handle the animals that much. Is it because I don't like to? It's just I don't have time. I don't have time to go down and handle every single one. I'll move them around from enclosure to enclosure, but there's really not a need for me as a breeder, and I hate to say it this way, but there's just not a need for me to handle them all the time and to check the sex and everything. Like I said, I brought a lot of animals last year early, and I've just held on to them. Have I checked the sex? Are they males and females? They're in separate containers. They're doing just fine, and I watch them all the time to make sure they're all okay. But this spring, then I check and male, and here's a female. So, that's when I handle my animals. I just don't have the time to handle them any other time. Did you have a couple?
Andrew says I have must have a ton of it, and I spread it on my front yard, and the grass is so green and thick. We need to do that because the dog used the front yard a lot this winter, and there's several spots that are going to not be green.
Andrew, do you know if Frass will relive dead grass?
Relive.
Yeah, I couldn't think of another. Rejuvenate.
Something.
I don't know.
Relive. You sound like my 7th graders.
Okay. So when a species is
They
not
attract more
popular
deer.
anymore, it just disappears from captivity. Well, I mean,
What?
yeah, I think we're a little off topic, but that's okay. That's okay.
No, I said what because I don't see the comment.
No,
It didn't
so
come
a
up yet.
species is not popular anymore. It just disappears from captivity after depleting the population in the wild. Insane. It is insane, and it's sad for me. But think of it this way: you have a species. Let's take bearded dragons. Although it'll never happen with bearded dragons, but let's just say it would. Let's say everybody and their uncle has had bearded dragons in the past, and everybody has lost interest in bearded dragons. And they just don't keep them anymore. So we lose them in the hobby. Let's say that for whatever reason, Australia puts a ban on bearded dragons. So now we can't get them back in the hobby. That's kind of what happened with Pachydaculus. We don't lose them to like nature. We lose them to, after depleting the population in the wild. Well, that's kind of tricky because, a lot of these animals that aren't super, super popular, like electric blue day geckos, let's exclude that, and let's take these little gray Pachydaculus. They're not going to collect thousands of these to bring in and then sit on 988 of them because only 12 of them were from one breeder that wanted them. So it's not like we're for some of these animals, it's not like we're completely decimating the wild populations. It's more that we lose them in the hobby than anything, right? Okay.
Andrew said it worked on a dead area, so we're trying that this year for sure. Angie said something about the isopods eating the frass. I don't know.
I don't know. Here's my problem with doing that, Angie. Frass is probably high in
ammonia.
I'm thinking, is it high in potassium? Probably ammonia. It's going to cause ammonia. It's going to it's probably going to change your pH in your enclosure, probably quite quickly and probably quite significantly. So I would stay away from using a lot of frass. Now, we'll use dead crickets and dead mealworms.
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
We'll get a shipment of 20,000 mealworms, and depending on who we get it from, we might have a handful of dead mealworms. We'll save those. We'll put them in a deli cup. We'll put them in the refrigerator and use them over the next couple of weeks of feeding on the isopods. But frass, I think, would maybe
It would turn, I think.
turn pretty quick. That's my thought.
Yeah, I don't want to be doing that. It's bad enough I'm picking up dead mealworms and crickets and putting them in there. Ugh.
I'm looking through my notes. One of the good things that I
Hi,
did.
Moon.
Hey, Moon, how you doing? Water well. Yeah, on the grass. If I miss something, then please. Please. One of the good things I do different than most people do, and I started in DEA. Andrew, you can chime in on this. When I used to keep tropical fish, I would spend probably 75% of the time on the fish and 25% of the time on the fish food. Raising my own brine shrimp, making beef heart. 25% of my time always would be allocated to making food or tending to the food or sourcing brine shrimp containers, or talking to people online about where can I get this food or that food. I would say I'm probably about the same place right now. While I spend probably, I'm going to say, 6 hours a day downstairs, I'll say maybe, I don't know if it's 20%, but I'll say at least an hour goes to the live food. I'm cleaning mealworms. I'm feeding the mealworms. I'm working on the fire brats. I'm cleaning dubia. I'm cleaning crickets. I'm cleaning crickets. So I'm spending a lot of time. And I think that people spend time with feeders, but I don't think a lot of people spend as much time as I feed, because I know the feeders are the source of everything good for the animals. That's the base. The food is the base. Water and food are the base. So I know if I'm going to mess something up, like the enclosure or the heat or the humidity, or at least I'm starting with their food being, spot on and just right for them. And, I watch that closely with the animals too, to make sure that they're eating. There's some animals that just, I experimented with isopods. A lot of geckos just would not eat isopods. I tried with buffalo beetles. I'm sorry, buffalo beetles. Bean beetles? Both. And neither one, the geckos really took that well over things like micro mealworms or fire brats or something like that. So I've spent a lot of time observing, and I spent a lot of time every single day tending to the live food just to keep them healthy. I don't want to lose, if you open up a mealworm container and you haven't cleaned it for a week and it starts, like the frass starts smelling even a little bit. If I go, I think I'm cleaning the mealworm container, cleaning it. It's going to be cleaned like right now, because they turn really super quick.
Okay. Brad enjoys making food for his animals. The Tegu food is the funniest. All the different things I get and grind up. The last time I got snails and macro to mix in with, and mackerel to mix in with the fruits and the veggies. And,
I remember doing that for the fish and the beef heart parties that we had. We would have, a dozen people over at somebody's house. Somebody would volunteer. Okay, it's my turn for beef heart.
90% of the time it was my kitchen.
And 90% of the time it was Mike. But we had a couple of parties here where we would make beef heart. I think it's because he had what's that? That was fun or was not fun?
Well,
where you would take the beef, sounding gross, and blend them up and, mix the gelatin and, oh my gosh. What is Andrew saying?
Beef heart, food talk, and a lot, but I loved making it.
And to shave it off and see the discus pick at the beef heart, pretty cool stuff. You felt like you were contributing, to their health and well-being. What else did you have? You had another one?
No, I had those three.
Okay.
You said to think of 2 or 3 things.
Yeah.
That was all I could come up with. But then you mentioned the shipping. I was going to mention that we turn things around pretty quick. I try to look at the orders, and if I have to get up a little earlier to pack it to take it with me, I do. But I agree, Julie. Green, yes. I'm trying to think. What else do we do that's different? You talked about feeding the crickets and the dead.
Peter has a question. Do you dedicate? I can't read this.
Do
Can
you
you-
dedicate to endangered animals while trying to make a living, or do you follow the market and breed endangered species as a side quest? Or do you do a combination of both things?
I don't deal with. Yeah, that's a pretty heavy.
Yeah, we don't.
I don't deal with endangered species.
No,
You know,
Not on purpose.
not on purpose. Again, you know, I got a comment on the video after the video was published that this gecko was critically endangered. If I would have known it at the table, I would have asked a
1,000 questions.
ton of questions. A ton of questions. Why are you keeping this? Why? How are you legally? Did you have? Where's the papers? I want to see some papers. So again, good question, Peter. But I don't purposely go after endangered species. Is there a market for endangered? I hope not. You know, I hope that there's not. Which, you know, getting back to this Bavaye, I don't know the legalities at all. If it's legal because there's papers, it's come in. Critically endangered means one thing in nature, but if we have it in the hobby, I mean, we can't bring in, you know, knobtails, Australian knobtails. Does that mean that we shouldn't keep them in the hobby because we can't bring them in from Australia? I don't think so. However they got here is however they got here. Whether it's good or bad, and I'm not agreeing or disagreeing on the methods that were used to bring them in, but now that they're in the hobby, should we not breed them and try to keep them as best as we can? I think we should.
Okay, he is two things. One, his comment is, I was the one who made the comment in your video.
Thanks for bringing that up.
And then his beginning question was, do you dedicate to endangered animals while trying to make a living, or do you follow the market? If this animal is, we don't keep them on purpose, but it's in our possession now, so we will care for it correctly, the best that we can.
Yeah.
We'll make sure it's okay, but it's not something that we planned on doing.
Yeah. I don't try to follow the market at all.
No.
I'm going to be very, very honest.
No,
and
you
this is something that I don't share that much, but I you know, if you know me, you know I'm transparent. I don't follow the market because the market changes too quickly. If you start trying to follow the market, you're a dog chasing its tail because the market's going to change tomorrow. I'll say this over and over and over again. If you're trying to play the stocks and follow what the market is doing, you're a day late and $1 short. Set your own market. Have a passion for what you're doing, and now you are the market. If it's for these little stupid 2-inch long gray geckos, but there's something about them, their behavior, their baby colors, something that really turns you on to that animal, and you have a passion for that animal, you can, in my, you know, deepest place in my heart, I feel like you can make your own market, and you can share that passion and get other people involved with the same cool things about that gecko that you have. So I try not to, you know, if I were following the market, I'd have a basement full of lily whites and sables, but that's not us. I have to keep the fire going for what I really, really strongly believe that I want to keep. So,
one other thing that we do a little bit differently.
Yes.
I thought of was shipping temperatures. You have them in our terms at what they are.
Yeah.
We really don't budge from those terms. We are on it, and we check our temperatures. We check the purchasers' temperatures. We check the in-betweens of where we think it's going through to make sure that we're safe before we ship anything. And we have orders literally right now that we are still on hold, a few that
don't tell people how long these orders have sat out there.
I've got 2 orders that are the oldest ones are the end of November, because it has not been safe to ship, because I don't want their isopods to die in transit because we're not FedExing isopods. So we're really picky with that. And that one's hard because we've seen other breeders say we're shipping tomorrow, and I'm looking at our temperature going, how? And it scares me.
Yeah, and
We're protective of our animals.
I really don't. I don't care. You know, you don't care.
No, I'm just very protective of them.
Yep.
And people have been great.
Care 1,000% more that the animals get in the customer's hands, because you know, if we send out animals and they die, then there's so many things working negative here. Number one, we've almost purposefully eliminated these animals. I don't want to, you know, go say the K word, but you know, and it's our fault for doing that. We know better. We're not going to do anything different that way. Number two, it gives the customer a bad feeling. They're not going to come back to us if we ship them. Sorry, we'll replace them. Yeah, big deal. I just got a bad shipment, and nobody wants that. So there's a lot of reasons. Have we canceled orders in the past? We'll usually cancel of all the orders that we get throughout the winter time and summertime, for that matter. We'll probably cancel one order in the winter and one. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I think
about
I've
one.
only had one that.
Hey, you
really
know, it's been a
said
couple
no.
of months. No problem.
And we understand. And most of the time they're very understanding, and they're like, we get it, but we can't wait, or we're going to be going to a show and we think we can get this there or whatever. Peter did come back and say he's not calling you out for keeping these species.
Never,
Actually,
ever took it that way.
No,
never took it that way.
actually,
I just
it's the
wanted
best.
to clarify.
Yeah, it's the best
You know,
for your
things
animal
like-
and
yeah.
the success for its conservation stories. Comes from captive breeding. Brad, LOL. We were just joking around, Peter. Yeah, this group can get kind of silly, Peter.
I think it starts from the top.
Frank,
No, you.
I'm calling Frank out on that one. Frank starts everything. He instigates it, and then it just goes.
So I feel like we do things different here, but we have reasons for doing it. You know, I wish I could handle animals more. I just wish I can. It's just, if I do that, then I'm not doing my job with, you know, doing the research or publishing on
The research you don't do.
the research that I do research. I just don't. There's sometimes that shows I don't do research, and it's just like, sure, I'll buy them. How much can I give you for these animals? But before the show and after the show, I do a lot of research. So if I held every single animal, I don't even know how much time. I'd start at one end and
attached. That's the other
You'd
problem.
get attached, too.
Because we've had that with Crystal, because she likes to hold certain animals. And we had a viper at a show that she really was holding and constantly holding at the show. And then somebody bought it when she went away for a little bit to hold a snake somewhere else. And she was almost in tears when she came back and saw that we had sold the animal because she had fallen in love with it. So we don't name animals purposely like that. I mean, our breeders have, well, now they're numbered. They're not named like they used to be named. Now we number them, other than the ones that Crystal has gone downstairs and named.
put little stickers on.
Yeah. All of a sudden there's little
Kirby.
stickers, Kirby and
Squishy.
Squishy. And so now,
Ooh,
you
Squishy.
you
Ooh,
can't
that's
sell
the scorpion
Kirby
tail.
and Squishy.
So we do things different, but it's 99.9% of the time it's for a purpose, and the purpose is to be better keepers, to be better in touch with the community. One thing I didn't mention, I kind of mentioned about answering every single question that we get in, and that's to support the community and do everything that we can to educate, but more importantly, to support. We don't ever want somebody to feel like they went to Supreme Gecko and they gave, Supreme Gecko gave them a, half-baked kind of answer. Supreme Gecko, pointed me to a YouTube video. I'm going to share the story and then we'll end the show. Somebody caught me at a show, a good friend, and said, this was about a year ago. I'm going to bring it up real quick because it really bugged me. They caught me at a show. We were walking from one vendor and I never get out of my little comfy zone behind the table, but I was this show. I was walking down some aisles and we met and we were talking, and then they said something about, hey, you do that buy me a coffee thing, right? I said, yeah, it's a great program to share information and keep in touch with people. And I wish I could do more, obviously, but I share behind the scenes videos and stuff like that. And they said, oh, somebody contacted me and said that that's all the reason that you did it, for the money, so that you could answer questions and get money from people for answering questions. I said, I've had 10 times more free consultations on Buy Me a Coffee than I have charged people for consultations. And the consultations that we do,
You never
for
end them in the time. If somebody buys
$10 for a half hour,
it's like a 2-hour conversation sometimes.
and they get notes and they get,
Yes.
Excel spreadsheets. And I'm not, trying to sell Buy Me a Coffee. What I am trying to say is that a comment like that really bugs me, and it makes me work harder at making sure that I don't leave people with that feeling that the only reason I'm in this hobby is for money, nor that the most important priority for me is money, or second priority, or third priority, or fourth priority is to make money. It's not. And I think that when people start realizing that if they have making money as their top priority in reptile keeping and breeding and selling, that they're probably going to get burnt out super really quick. You have to enjoy what you're doing, and you have to have a passion, and the money will come later. That's so corny to say that.
But it's how you roll. That's how
Thanks,
you do
Gina.
this.
Appreciate that.
That's how you do it. Yeah, there's no such thing as a half-hour conversation with you two. No, Brad, there isn't. You can't do that.
No.
Isn't it better not to handle your animals because it can cause less stress? Yes, to a degree.
It
depends on the animal.
As
long as you know how to handle it and you can tell when the animal is stressed out. Like you were talking about the crested geckos. If you start seeing a tail moving like that, you back off. If you're holding it, because we do encourage, obviously, the people that buy their animals for their kids to hold the animals. We tell them to give them a time frame before they hold them, but kids come to the table, they want to hold a crested gecko because they want to have a pet at home that they can hold, and as long as it's done with care and
that might be
40
why
hours.
Somebody wants an animal.
Exactly.
They might want to hold it,
things,
and that's super cool. And we never ever want to discourage that, but we want to encourage the proper handling and the safe handling as well. We tell people all the time, you could give it a little bit of a break-in quarantine period, and then once it's eating and pooping, then sit down on a carpeted floor and just hold the gecko and try to catch it when it jumps. And if it jumps onto the floor, no big deal. Just make sure it can't, run under the sofa.
Couch.
Yeah.
And get into the couch or something.
Is it sofa or couch?
Couch or sofa. It could be either.
Okay.
Is sofa is it water fountain or bubbler? Is it soda or pop? Tomato or tomato? I could keep going.
New Orleans or New Orleans? New Orleans.
As soon as the lights go out, the animals start running out to be fed. Yes. Angie doesn't see her animals. They hide. Is Frank
It's because they're afraid of you. No, they're not.
Is Frank Marty McFly?
There's what?
I don't know. Is Frank Marty McFly?
Marty McFly.
Not sure where that's coming from, but there must have been a comment.
So one of the keys here is don't feel like if you're doing things different and you have a good reason and a good purpose, don't ever feel like you're doing the wrong thing because you're doing it differently. If you're doing it differently for a bad reason, then recognize it and change it. But if you're doing it and you have a good reason to do what you're doing differently, keep doing it and teach others why you're doing things different. What were you laughing at? Me?
Andrew said, I've seen Wally try to hold a crested gecko on a live stream once. It didn't go well, LOL. Neither did the picta that jumped out of the container in here, and then Jordan shut down the show.
Yeah. Jordan, can you get that picta?
I remember an old video of
Whole
yours
show.
On Goniosaurus. You said do not like being handled. Are you going to make a video about them in the near future? They are my favorite gecko family. That's from Peter.
One of my favorites as well. I love the Goniosaurus, the cave geckos. I'll probably, it's like Peter, every single week, I swear to God, every single week is, I'm thinking the thumbnail, all of my cave geckos, and showing like 4 or 5 cave geckos, and then showing in the video, this is, Aranus, this is Catbansis, this is Boanglagens, and just going through every single one and showing their setups. And then all of a sudden I'll have a different idea for a video, and I'll say, okay, that's an easy video to do because all I'm showing is their setup, and I can talk through that in my sleep. So I'll do the other video instead. So that one is like that one's like the pinch hitter in a baseball game. That's just, okay, Bobby, you're in next, but I might change my mind and I might pull in Peter, and Peter's going to hit. Okay, Peter's going to hit. Go. But thanks for being ready. So that my Goniasaurus cave gecko video is my batter in waiting right now.
Mm. Laura says, Wally, don't discount your time or what you do for all of us. Anyone who has seen your live stream should understand. You give more than you take, and there is no short story with you.
Okay, is that on my good list or is that on my bad list in my spreadsheet here? I don't know. It's probably on my bad.
When I got my son his first Leo, he had a bin he would sit down with and learning how to hold Zipper. Oh, that's a cute name. It worked well for us. He had ADHD, and we wanted to make sure Zipper was safe. We had a family tell us that they would sit their little ones in their bathtub and close the drain and have them sit in the tub and hold it because the gecko couldn't climb up the side of the tub because it wasn't able to grab it, and they did it there. And then she said then they decided that probably wasn't a safe thing to do after all because they cleaned the tub with stuff, and they were kind of worried then that might be a problem if the gecko stayed in it too long. But that was how they did it too.
I just don't want them to walk in and say, Billy, no, don't fill the tub up with your gecko in. Yeah. Julie's going to take off and take a nap. I'm
Good
right
night,
behind
Julie.
you. We've got some things to do
feeling
too.
Good.
Hope this was fun for everybody. I hope you learned a little bit about us. I hope if you do things different as well, I hope you feel comfortable enough to say, I do things different, but I'm okay.
Laura said put her comment on both lists. Good and bad.
Good and bad. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. Have a good
night.
Rest of the week and a good weekend. If you're going to Fond du Lac, see you there. Say hi.